legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. I'm cranking up on the throttle, victory is mine. Show you the harder the battle, harder I fight. I've come too far to quit. Stop back, I'm going in. I'm cranking up on the throttle. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made. This is how legends are made.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our stream. Yeah, today let's get right into the action. We are going to focus on, or rather having another stream on the new Japanese-led cruisers, or how I would like to call them, just very heavy destroyers. Now that the Tier 8 is also available in the game, I think last time we only covered the Tier 5 to 7, if I recall correctly. And yeah, but I'm not alone. I got some emotional support.
Emotional damage.
Exactly, emotional damage. You can already hear him. Prince Blip joined us as well. And like your, fourth stream in a row now?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's just sickness and vacation and all kinds of things in the team. Kind of happens to be sometimes like that. To have a streaming spree. Maybe even fifth time next week. Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll see.
We'll see. So sometimes like that it'd be like that sometimes.
I'm here to ensure Tiger 59's honor is not tarnished again. Hi, Phone, don't worry. Hi, by the way. We are probably not going to play Tiger 59 today, so there's no honor to lose or gain.
Yep. And Connor isn't here, so he's not gonna. So none of us is going to be calling mid. So.
Yeah. I think we are like the two people in the team who actually support and defend Tiger, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
It's a good ship for very specific tasks and support. Definitely. Good morning from the States. Yeah, good morning. Navy crazy. I remember from last stream I was like kind of listening in and sneaking in the background. There was some arguments whether we just read YouTube or also Twitch chat. No Twitch chat, you are also in our hearts, but you're just very few people.
Yep.
So, yeah. Are we allowed to bully Sehalas this stream? Mobius, everyone else is, you are not.
Since you asked.
Since you asked, yes, you're welcome. Blip backpacking the squad? What is backpacking the squad?
Carrying.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Game of the Last singing in the Roman port as a permanent option. Which sounds amazing. Probably not, unless we can keep the Roman port. I'm not sure, actually. Do you know if we keep it?
I don't think we do. No, because it's an event port.
Yeah,
so.
it's a bit difficult to keep these event modes and ports and like all this stuff up to date from version to version. Even though you might not see it on the backend, there's a lot of things changing, even in terms of graphics and optimization all the time. So, yeah. Plymouth buff when? Like,
No.
It's such a strong ship.
No.
We can talk about what's her name, Perfect 10, but Plymouth, no. So yeah, this just flipped me off. No, I used my pointer, not my middle finger.
So
I have like, I don't know, I'm freaking eyelash being annoying. Hello from Peru. Wow.
We've got Peru. We've got people from all over today.
Yeah. I mean, US already. I've seen some Germans. I've seen some Brits.
PNW.
Middle
so
East.
PNW would be Pacific Northwest. So it's
Possibly.
very early for them.
PTBR, so Brazil, I assume. No, we don't have any Brazilian Portuguese speaking team members actually. So no streams in that, but we will usually have English-speaking streams. Occasionally, maybe some other languages, depending on like very specific occasions, like maybe for French or German, because that's what we actually have in the team. What's going on with the back fingernails? Style change. I also have a new haircut. Like it or not, I like it. So.
Yup.
Also nicer to flip people off like this.
Makes it
time I
stand
did
out
it.
more.
uh,
Yeah, so we got
Hello from Frodo. Like, let's get us USS Wasp, please. That's a carrier, right?
yes, you're gonna have to be specific about which one because there's at least two of them. Might be three. Because
What was?
there was the first Wasp, which was a half of a Yorktown carrier, and then there was the second Wasp because they sank that one, and so we made an Essex. So
Legit, Roro, I'm not in an emo phase. I'm just in the, I turned 29 and now I'm having a midlife crisis phase.
yeah. Yeah. Flip, what was the boat in Missouri you wanted to see? It was a gift to a president or something? Yes. So there is a hydrofoil museum in Ozarks, Missouri. Well, not Ozarks. It's in central Missouri where they have a bunch of hydrofoils, including a hydrofoil that was a gift from the leader of the Soviet Union to President Nixon. And it still runs and is still in service today. So then there was the Secret Service used it as a private boat for a little while too.
Wait, so it's a museum, but you can actually still like ride on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And hydrofoil is the ones that like
that
lifted
fly,
outside. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they basically have like a very small bit of the what do you call that
basically
part?
basically like a wing underwater
Yeah.
that lifts it. Yeah. We're at Missouri. It's in central Missouri, basically in between Jefferson City and St. Louis on I-40 somewhere. I can't remember the exact city where it is. I think it starts with a G, but I'm not sure.
When will we see a graphics update that really uses the power of the current gen consoles? The biggest issue of that is that we also still have the old gen consoles, and whatever we do, we have to do basically double work. And we have only so much time, so many resources. So it is already quite an undertaking to update everything. But on top of that, it's still not really that worth it because a lot of people just didn't upgrade to newer consoles for some reason. I guess this console generation is just not that appealing for a lot of people. As far as I understand, that's not just a Legends thing, it's a general thing.
Yeah.
So more of you need to, get their consoles upgraded, and then it's more likely that we will have some bigger graphics updates,
Yep.
but nothing in the foreseeable future. That said, we are, as I said earlier, still working on like some behind the scenes, like background optimization, and sooner or later that's gonna be fruitful as well. We did not forget about the PS5 4K 60 FPS. I don't know what exactly is the issue there, but it is apparently really difficult. But it's still being worked on.
Yep. It's in Gasconade, Missouri. So yeah, I feel like that's right. So because that's striking a bell in my head. There's so much stuff in this head that I lose things. I forget things that they're just it's just gone sometimes.
Where?
The Gasconade, Missouri.
No, like where stuff? Where stuff? I wasn't listening.
Oh, in my brain.
Oh yeah, I have that issue as well.
Yep. I stick more in and then something disappears, but I don't know what it was.
Say Hal is kindly saying, buy a new console, you peasants. Lol. No. Like, I had PS4 for the longest time as well. Now I have a PS5, but it's like, it's fine. Like, the game works on it as long as you're having fun. Maybe you're also playing some other games. Most likely you're also playing some other games, to be honest. And as long as that's enough, well, that's how it is. Would I like more people to have, like, always the highest end build so we can go full nuts with graphics? Yeah, of course. But it's the same on console as it is on PC, as it is on mobile. Why throw something away, or why move to like new hardware if you are fine with it? Like, it's absolutely reasonable.
Yep. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why isn't the Danish Navy, Royal Navy, in the game like our Swedish neighbors? I'm not I'm not very familiar with Danish Navy during this era, so I can't really comment too much on that. But if there was large surface warships in the Danish Navy like destroyers, then it's probably an eventually type scenario.
Did we just find a naval topic that Blip doesn't know much about?
Yeah.
Okay, so Danish Navy stream special in 4 months.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. Well, let's probably get started because
Yep.
otherwise, especially the two of us, will probably just keep talking.
Yup. So, do we want to start with the tier 8 or start lower and go up, or?
Let's start lower and go up.
Okay.
Full disclaimer, ladies and gentle peeps, I have not played the game much the past month. I was super busy, so I have actually not touched the ships yet.
Yeah.
I think I played like 1 round on ST. You wanna? Oh, okay. You wanna start like that? Low. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, I'm
Yeah.
missing the most important bit.
Yeah, I'm aware that Danish naval history goes way back into Napoleon time and well before. I'm more familiar with that than I am with the more modern Danish history. So,
So-
basically, anything after 1850 is just gone.
Before we go into battle, I wanted to quickly talk builds. Do we have the same build now?
No, not the same build.
Okay. So I'm gonna try this one: torpedo damage boost, cruiser detectability. Like as I said, I want to think of them as very heavy destroyers. So let's see how that goes. Of course, the new commander, Ijuin.
I think it's Masuji Ijuin.
probably something like this. Yeah. Sorry, guys, we're not really that good with Japanese names. Burn it down. Why not? Home run. Look at me now. Acoustic chamber. Let's see. Maybe back in stock. I mean, Sona's always nice. Sona's too good. Yeah, I agree. I had some help by from Blip to actually have the build ready. I was chasing a Coke Zero. And well, killing distance, yeah, that's a no-brainer, I guess. So I'm gonna see how this is gonna work out. Maybe you wanna show your build.
Yep. So my build is pretty similar. I'm running BD Lightful instead of Tanaka because my Tanaka is not as leveled. So I'm running BD Lightful and Genichi Mikawa for just concealment shenanigans. These cruisers are very stealthy already, and since they're kind of more like large destroyers in terms of their playstyle with torpedoes, I went in on that a little more. Running pretty standard build, burn it down, a mixture of gun and torpedoes. Running both the torpedo skills and the new killing distance skill. That's the plan, at least for now. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, then I'll probably switch around and try some new build crafting.
Okay, ready.
Yep.
You lead.
Okay.
Can we get the Australian ships? Define which ones, because we actually already have a couple.
Yep. We have 3 of them right now. We have Vampire, Vampire 1, and Perth, as well as Brisbane. So if you
Perth is pretty cool.
Yeah, if I purchase a campaign right now, will I get the past week's battle prowess missions as well, or will I get the current week's battle prowess missions? I think you will. I'm actually not sure offhand because battle prowess are the extra ones you get with the campaign.
Yeah.
I think you get them all.
I'm honestly also not fully sure. Actually, there was never a question that came up. I guess it was just not really an issue for most people.
I will ask Connor real quick. He'll know.
He should already be home or going home. Or at least I hope he went home. Let me quickly check. I think it's only like that week. I don't think you get all of them, but don't quote me on it.
Yep. We'll see if if he's available to answer. Oh, they reset each week. Okay, yeah. If they reset, then then you only get
That's
the
how
current
we
weeks.
that's how we said it as well. But I wasn't fully sure if we implemented them differently given the question.
Yeah. So it's only the current weeks. So sorry, I was wrong on that one.
Yeah. So going to be a treasure hunt like last year in August. We have some cool plans for August, for sure. Whether it's going to be a treasure hunt, who knows? We might be having some other cool ideas for later this year as well, in terms of these like more special events. Let's call it that. What are even my stats? 14.5 torpedoes. Like how I have more torpedo range than main gun range. The original CV7 Wasp, please. What tier would that be?
The original CV7 was probably a tier 5, I would say. You could you could squeeze it into tier 7, but that would be a stretch.
Let's see.
But Wasp was originally a carrier they made based on the Yorktown class, which is what like Enterprise 1 and Yorktown are. But they didn't have the amount of displacement to build a full carrier, so they had to like lighten it a ton. So Wasp is slower and much less protected than normal fleet carriers are.
Oh, Emilio Batin is burning.
Yeah, trying to focus him down. I see that he's also an IJN camo destroyer. IJN, IJN.
Oh, there are some torpedoes. Yeah, why am I shooting at that time? Like, that makes no sense.
Speedy boy.
No, it's also like you hit her, nothing happens. It's just still one of the most fun ships for tier 4 for sure.
Ever thought about adding crew to the ships manning their stations? Not really, no, for a few reasons. One is that will impact your age rating, or can impact your age rating depending on...
I found it as well.
It's one way to find one. And the destroyer found out. So it can impact your age rating of your game, which has all kinds of implications, but also it's a resource thing in terms of how much processing power it takes up to show them on the ships. Especially if they're animated, that's a lot of processing power. So there's no real plans or thoughts in terms of including that.
Yeah. Also, they would be so small. If it would be true to scale, you would barely see anything anyway. That's another thing. Maybe something in port at some point. I know the PC version had like some ship camos where in port there were like some people standing on deck and stuff like that.
Yep.
But even in port, it's not exactly low on the performance impact. So we'll have to see.
Will the Borodino be offered later? Borodino is currently in the void, as we say. It exists, but there is no announcements or any information other than she exists. Because we did test her at the beginning of the year. So she will arrive whenever, precisely when she needs to, much like a wizard. Goodbye, Belikin.
No, I just loaded AP. I have to say, I like this one.
Yep.
That's cool. I only played the higher tier ones on SD. I think like tier 7.
Will please buff Iowa and Florida's armor. Iowa's armor can't really be buffed because, of course, Iowa is a real ship. We know how her armor scheme is set up. Yes, I know there's a couple mistakes in it, but there's quite a limited amount of stuff that you can change with ships like that. Because people have expectations. But when it comes to Florida, that's one of the ships that we, or at least I, would like to see some changes to. I'm not sure if armor is the right way or the right thing to change on that ship. But yeah.
She's certainly on the list of ships that you want to look into, but it's a very long list.
Yeah.
I also constantly changes.
Yeah.
Doesn't help.
It's okay for there to be kind of glass cannon battleships in a way. The problem is that the problem I see with Florida is that it only offers glass and not much cannon. I am staying alive, barely. But this Agano is going to get me soon. Oh no, that's an Alpha.
have to kind of chase this emerald because she keeps popping. It's kind of annoying.
Nope, Albert got me. Something new.
There's an island emerald, by the way.
Would crew on the ships alter the rating? Not necessarily, but it is a
Like,
possibility.
for example, the way World of Warplanes did it. I know, very popular game, but still a good example, I assume. They do have pilots, but they just despawn the moment the plane gets shot down. They just like suddenly, bloop, gone. Which would look super weird with a whole ship's crew. And also, like, I think during battle you wouldn't really see that many people on deck anyway.
Yeah, just
Because
the
you really
anti-aircraft
don't.
guns,
Oh,
really.
you sang something.
Oh.
Yeah. Because you really don't want to be close to any of the guns.
Yeah, you would want to, like, for that you would
Please.
only really have anti-aircraft guns, and on the bridge some crewmen. Everywhere else is going to be trying to be inside the ship as much as possible.
Oh, the ship does not stop. Come on.
Give
Oh, that's a
reverse gears.
California. This could hurt.
Yeah. The armor is noticeably worse than North Carolina, and it doesn't gain much for it. Yeah, the thing with Florida is based off of a specific design. If I remember right, I think it was Scheme 16, maybe? And that might be Georgia. But North Carolina is based off of a specific design for the North Carolina. Florida is based off of a specific design for the North Carolina class battleships. And that armor setup is part of that. They changed that design quite a lot whenever they decided to switch to 16-inch guns. And part of that was improving the armor so that it would be protected against those guns. Nominally.
Can I turn around? I forgot to turn.
Can you improve the command wheel, please? What would you have us improve about it?
In case, like, you mean adding additional voice lines, like thanks or cool or whatnot. The issue is we can't really, because we have a lot of captains, a lot of commander voiceovers in the game, and they would need to be okay.
Ooh.
California was kind of expected, but
You got him.
yeah, I think she's burning down before or flooding.
Nope.
Oh, mine. Okay, just a flesh wound. Casual 76k damage. I ended my average on tier 7.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hello, does Vermont have improved pin angles similar to Yamato? Vermont does not have improved pin angles. She has they're almost completely normal. Well, they are completely normal.
Blip needs a reset. Tired. He needs coffee. I think he had too much coffee.
Yeah,
That's
I've had
rather
too
the
much.
issue.
I've had too much coffee. My
Yeah.
brain's going faster than my mouth can. How do you come
Relatable.
up with the names of the schemes like Florida and Georgia? So, whenever we take, like, let's call them like name for a paper ship. What we will do is we will look for what is the convention of that navy. What do they normally do for naming their ships? And in the U.S. Navy, normally they will take names for states. So
Oh, sorry,
Florida, Georgia, Missouri.
I forgot it's me. The camera's on.
Nope.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So normally they'll take state names. So we use up the state names until we run out of state names. Then afterwards, they will typically use for battle cruisers will be names from what we call the 6 frigates, or just various frigate names from the 1800s. So this is your Constitution, Constellation, President, names like that. And then in terms of one other historical battleship name for the U.S. Navy is Kearsarge, because for whatever reason we decided to name one Kearsarge.
Can you add take A, take B, take C directly on the wheels? No. Like, it's just gonna add, like, clutter the command wheel. It's gonna be more difficult to actually hit any of the commands quickly. It's gonna mess with anyone who has it in their, like, muscle memory. And you can just aim at the caps and do the same in most situations. It's, again, like, it's very unlikely that we have any major changes to the command wheel. It is so much work. It is, in some cases, already an issue with some commanders that were added earlier, or that we, like, for example, got from the PC version when it comes to voiceovers that don't have certain commands. I don't think it's the right choice to add even more that don't actually have any voiceovers in some cases. So
Yeah.
especially for something critical like take whatever,
Yeah.
if you want specific voice lines for those. So we will most likely keep it as is. As for carriers for mobile, somebody was asking, we're still working on them, but you will hopefully get them sooner or later. And where's the ship? Somewhere here.
Yeah.
Should be getting spotted any moment.
Yeah. When are we getting ricochet torpedoes like in your player? There's no plans for ricochet torpedoes. It is a real thing that would happen in real life, or could happen in real life. But we find that from a gameplay perspective, just hitting something with a torpedo is already more difficult enough. So adding an RNG element to that would not be pleasant.
I mean, it wouldn't really be RNG depending on how we design it, but it's still like, yeah, it's not how the game is balanced. We would basically need to change every single torpedo in the game and every single ship.
Yeah. Can we get Wisconsin
yeah.
in Legends soon? Can't answer when questions.
Let's put it this way. If something was just recently added on the PC version, odds are is rather unlikely that we'll add it anytime soon on Legends, especially if it's not like a ship that ties into like any specific events. There's certainly ships you can look forward to this year. I can say that much without revealing too much, but yeah, like Blip said, we can't really comment more on stuff like that. I saw something else. Could you improve on promotion orders by increasing them? So promotion orders are like a kind of weird situation, because for the longest time we kept getting feedback by, of course, like the vocal core, like the mostly the players who are around for many years. That's mostly who we interact with, right? But we mostly got the feedback, oh, there are way too many promotion orders in the game. I have thousands of them. I have hundreds of them. I don't know what to do with them. So we were like, okay. Same for premium, actually. And so we went in and removed premium and promotion orders from a lot of bundles that was like previously like fillers or like extra content. We were like, oh, that's probably useful, right? You want that. So then those players were like, oh, cool, you removed it now. Now I get more useful stuff. Great. Can you please give me some option to actually get rid of both? And we even had the treasure hunt where you could use promotion orders. Maybe that's why somebody asked earlier. To pay for some of the keys, and everything seemed fine. And now we're starting to get these requests for more promotion orders because newer players don't get as many. So we will see. I'm sitting on 4,000 POs right now. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. But we will see how we can change the distribution of those, or maybe like give some more choice. We, as you might have noticed, we have a lot of events where you have like some additional currency that is temporary for just one update or like two updates, where you can decide getting like a specific ship or skin, or just spend them on certain resources. So stuff like this is probably a good way, but we are constantly looking into like how many things are there of each resource, how much you have on accounts, how much do new players get, how much do old players have. I have 3.7k premium days cardio. That is insane, but also really a very much a luxury issue to have, I think.
Yeah.
But I know once you buy like a year or so of premium in Legends, you kind of never run out again.
Yep.
If you spend a little bit of money.
Or-
But I believe especially for the newer players, they probably appreciated that we have quite some premium still in
Yep.
events and crates and stuff like that.
Yep.
That is for keeping the lights on. Exactly.
Yeah. So
We're not going to complain about it.
grabbing a couple technical questions here. Can we shoot the torpedoes to avoid them? No. Yes, there are a couple cases in World War II where a guy shot a torpedo in the water with a rifle or something and it blew it up. The reason we know about them is because they're very exceptional, but it's not a mechanic in game. Yet shells bounce because shells are moving at essentially 1,300 knots, give or take, where torpedoes are going at like 70 knots. One is a lot easier to hit with than the other. Trying to check some other questions.
I'm checking my stats right now.
Yeah, please add old premium ships like Nassau to the store. Some premium ships that are older are kind of exclusive, so to bring them back risks it can be a bit risky depending on what it is. Nassau, everybody at the time was able to get it for free, so it is easier to get to have a return. But some of the more exclusive ships, like say Lenin, needs to be careful.
Yeah. Or like the Founder Edition ships,
Yeah,
big
like Founder
kamikazes and stuff like
yeah,
this.
Founder
like some of
Edition
them at least.
stuff. It will almost certainly never return.
Can we get more doubloon bundles like this on the PC version? I understand PC and Legends are different teams, but would like to see a bigger variety of choices in the doubloon store. If our monetization and platform teams are watching, like, guys, what? What just happened? Somebody wants to spend more, but to be honest, we used to actually have more, or maybe there was an idea to have more, but we just don't want to be like that overwhelming. Like you can still just buy the smaller ones if you don't want to like
Yep.
I don't know. Do you want us to like add one more that is even more expensive, but gives you even more? Like, I think, like, I mean, I'm happy if you spend money on our game, but it's a weird request.
Yeah.
If you mean something like doing a dynamic one, I don't think that's possible because we don't have our own premium shop like PC does. It's all through like the different platform stores, like App Store, Play Store, Microsoft Store, PlayStation Store. So
Yep.
we don't have as much granularity in that regard. What about bringing California back? Quite unrealistic. Like maybe in some loot boxes, like crates. Like I should not have said the L word, but we all know it's actually that. In crates and containers, yes. In events, like I don't know. Maybe we do some event eventually where we bring back all the ships in some way or another. The issue is like same issue actually with like Nassau or other free ships. If we bring them back, what do you get out of it? If you're a new player, cool, now you can get the ship. If you're an old player, and there are a lot of you actually stuck around for quite a long time, you at best get a duplicate ship that you get compensation for, which is usually credits. At worst, we decide we don't want to just give out more credits, so we don't even give that, or like we give some alternative. If we do an alternative with like one new ship and one old ship, or several, similar to like what I was saying earlier with all the events where you have like these custom currencies, then I'll just go to this view because we're talking anyway. Then we might introduce way more like this like fear of missing out kind of thing, apply more pressure on you just for the sake of having choices, because somebody who doesn't have any of the ships yet will have to like spend more or play more or both to actually get everything, and somebody who has been with us for a long time has an easier time with it, which is of course cool for the long-term players, but like there's this eternal issue with these things. So on one hand, we don't want to overwhelm you. Some people already say it's too much. Some people say it's too little. Some people want to spend more money for some reason. I'm not gonna judge. So that's why we usually don't do this. Maybe eventually, yes.
Yep.
And the other thing is, especially with more popular ships, like look at, for example, what happened when we released Musashi. For anyone who was around when we had Musashi's released, there was like 6, 7 Musashis on each side for basically a whole week on tier 8 and legendary. It's a bit boring. It's like these popular ships. Yes, it's great that they're popular, but that's also the issue that we are basically effing up our matchmaking every single time we release one of those. So
variety is the spice of life.
How does it said the L word? You're gonna have to scrub the poop deck. Yeah, I have like my brain just went like that. We call it crates or containers, but we all know what it is.
Yeah. So
technically, it's gift boxes because they're not tricking you, but that's a different thing.
Yeah. Comment here about no news about CVs changes, balance, and mechanics changes. We do not typically share these news on live streams because live streams, we don't have prepared notes or anything like that in front of us. So the risk of getting things wrong is very high. And so if you want any news about changes like that, you're going to have to wait for patch notes and or Ministry of Balance articles, which are normally during the last week of the update, which for this update is next week.
Which also answers the question earlier. Yes, it's 4 weeks, this update.
Yep.
But next one will be 5 again, and I think for the rest of the year it will be probably 5.
Yep, should be.
Not sure if we have another one. You want the collectors to spend a lot of money too? I mean, collectors are already collectors, so they're probably already spending a lot of money, but we wanted we want always a balance of people who want to play for free can play for free and don't feel like they have to buy something. At the same time, of course, we want some incentives for you to spend money on, because yes, somebody needs to keep the lights on. Our developers don't like to eat bread and drink water all day, and so do we. Like, of course, also pay for like all the hardware, the servers, all this stuff, but it's a different thing. But yeah, at the same time, we don't want to overdo it. We also can't. Like in some cases, we would really like to do more or do something more crazy, but our team isn't crazy big. We can copy some homework from the PC version every now and then, but in the end, we're still a very different game. We have to always like adjust stuff for our game or even redo it from scratch. So there are a lot of reasons why we don't just pump out content like crazy, but do as much as we do.
Yep. And so a couple comments here about the number of destroyers on teams. I keep an eye on this stat over time, and I've been watching this stat for the past 3-4 years, basically ever since I got access to it. This stat really hasn't changed. So in terms of like the population of destroyers on average in each game, it varies by tier. Some tiers are going to have more than others, but generally speaking, it's not more than 8 to 10% of battles have more than, or 4 or more per team.
Will Vermont get buffed for penetration? Honestly, not sure if she needs more buffs. We will see in like an update or two. It usually takes at least a month for players to adjust to some changes, get used to something being stronger or something being weaker, and the dynamic changing a bit. So we will see. Not entirely unrealistic, I suppose, but at the same time, does she really need it?
I don't
Not
think
sure.
so.
It would basically just be a like Yamato like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really make sense for her guns either.
Yeah, increasing the penetration of Vermont is overkill because she almost has the same amount of penetration that Yamato has, which is more than enough for any situation you're going to run, almost any situation you're going to run into.
I mean, my minnow wouldn't mind, because it would mean that I can sometimes get like overpenned and
No, it wouldn't, because your penetration value does not impact how often you get overpinned. So if you have 1,000 penetration and you have
oh yeah, because you already overpen. Yeah, never mind.
yeah, you overpin anyway.
Come on, I gave my minnow a little bit more armor than she has. Okay.
At range, it's less pin. Basically, the range like it does have less pin than Yamato by about 10 to 20 millimeters, which when you're talking about 750 plus isn't much. So at range, it does have less pin than Yamato, but it still has more than enough than you will ever need. So at range, you're going to be hitting a deck more likely, which means that your angle is causing your problem, not your penetration. Then what the angle of fall of the shell, right? And because the farther away your target is, the more likely you're going to hit the deck and not the side of the ship. And so if you hit the deck, you're going to bounce anyway. It doesn't matter what ship you're in, unless you're in a Minotaur. So
again, guys, any questions of like, are we going to see ships XYZ or for this currency or for that currency? We can't answer those. You will just have to see. Let's do a couple more questions and then go to the next tier, because I feel like otherwise we're not going to play any ships.
Let's just go on into the next tier. I think we're kind of in
I've
between
seen a
right now.
couple.
What is the stat that would surprise us the most that we have access to and we don't? Ooh.
I know some stats, but I don't want to say it.
Yeah, there are some stats where it's just like you won't even believe us if you say it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good fun one.
Okay, think about it. I will go for some questions. So, what did I see? Yeah, for mobile and console, you can actually go after the tutorial battle on mobile. You can go to settings, account linking, and then you can sync your progress between mobile and one of the console accounts, so either Xbox or PlayStation. Keep in mind, though, you can only keep one account's progress, so like either what you already had on mobile or what you already had on console. You can't do both. And please double check that you select the right one. As for teasers, yes, given it's a 4-update week, as usual, 4-week update. as usual, in the last week, you will be getting more teasers and also the patch notes and like any other changes, like balance changes. I can already say there will be balance changes.
Yeah. Prince Flip, you're like an encyclopedia of ships. Where did you learn that much? There's not any one place. I have. First off, I kind of grew up in a naval aviation family, and so I've always kind of been around naval history. And then then kind of going through school and stuff like that, I'd do projects on various different topics relating to naval history and history in general. And then but nowadays it's just reading. So read different books, read articles online, because there's a lot of other knowledge sources that know even way more than I do about certain specific things. But also your questions answering questions like, what is this for? Means I have to go down some rabbit hole and figure it out, and then that knowledge hopefully stays in my brain
And
for a
from
long
that
time.
rabbit hole, you go to the next rabbit hole, and to the next, and to the next.
Exactly.
I know that way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two questions I've seen. Why is PC and console so different? Quite frankly, because it's completely different controls, completely different way of playing. The player bases are different. Like console players, you can say what you want, are just more casual. Like it's just normal. And we didn't feel like just porting the game. I mean, you can already see it on mobile, for example. Is it a good game? Yes, it works, at least on the devices where it works on. I know we are still optimizing some. It works, but it is not a mobile-first game. The same way the PC version is not a console-first game, but we wanted to have a proper console game. And even though some base mechanics are similar, like some algorithms for formulas for damage and all the stuff are similar, under the hood there's a lot of differences. So you might as well just do it kind of properly. PC did it properly for PC, but for Legends with console, I mean. So and we thought, hey, we're already doing everything from scratch, more or less. We can be more creative and see how we can make the game unique. So some people even like playing both, or even also WoW Blitz. Does the WoW Blitz team hate the WoW L team now? No, not really. We coexist.
Yep.
They're doing fine, and we just released, and we'll see. Lots of players coming in, lots of people trying it out, and I think it's great for all the console players, because even if you don't like to play on mobile, now you have basically a companion app, provided it's a bit bigger than most companion apps.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the other thing before we continue, competitive for WoWs, I don't think it's going to be huge, but there are a lot of initiatives, and you can contribute to making it bigger. And the bigger it becomes, the more interest we have and we can show as well. So check out the Fleet Network. That's the Discord name. I assume you can find it either just ask on the Discord, on our Discord, and somebody can send you an invite, or I think they are also on Reddit. There should be a post. So just search for WoW's Legends, the Fleet Network. They are doing some tournaments. We also started sponsoring some of them. Otherwise, if you're German speaking, Adlerwache is also doing some tournaments, and or more like a league system. It's not quite a tournament, but anyway.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff slowly but surely growing. So just spread the word.
Yeah.
Would we see Sabaton Legends? I mean, I like Sabaton, but we can't talk about collaborations. Maybe not.
Let's
go into battle. Yeah. Gokaza, sorry, I thought I was already ready.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
So,
and where the catty is, I mean, we have the catties here, but I don't know if you can hear this. It's so obnoxious. I don't understand how our PC colleagues can actually stream with them. You move your head ever so slightly, and you're just having eternal. How do you pronounce it? Tinnitus?
Yeah, tinnitus. Yeah.
Tinnitus. In your ears, it's no.
I used to work basically jackhammering concrete in basements. My ears ring enough already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
That explains why you have tinnitus.
Yeah. 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 So a question. I wonder if our grandfathers, my grandfathers and yours, served on the same ship. His grandpa was on Essex. My grandfathers were involved in the MAC, the Military Airlift Command. So one of them was a flight mechanic. He was based out of North Africa somewhere. And then the other was a naval aviator. He was responsible for flying mostly DC-6s, as well as some Lockheed Constellations and Super Constellations, but mostly DC-6.
Where the plane was called Lucky?
No, the manufacturer was Lockheed.
Lockheed. I understood Lucky.
No.
I was
The,
like,
the
what?
plane name was the
Okay,
Constellation.
Lockheed. Yeah, no. Lockheed I know.
Which the Constellation is the most beautiful airplane ever built. Fight me.
I have to check it out.
Yeah. So he was not on carriers for the most part. Although I think he did carrier qualify, but that wasn't his job.
Which means like he could have had the option to serve on a carrier, just chose not to.
Yeah, if the
Oh.
Navy needed him to fly an airplane
Okay.
off a carrier, he could, but it wasn't.
Was
his
it his
role.
choice or was it the Navy's choice, basically?
Probably the Navy's choice.
I see. Did you guys get stories as a kid from your grandparents? I mean, me being German, the stories weren't that, like, didn't really want to share them, I suppose. Not really much. But given what we just heard from Blip, I assume he had
Yeah.
quite some stories.
All the time.
What is going on? I think everyone is shooting at you. Okay.
I'm the one guy that spotted.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
crossed in front of the island. English, really difficult. Weather change would be cool. It's cool, but that's basically it. It's a gimmick. I know some players really like it from PC, like the cyclones and stuff. Some really hate it. No plans right now. Maybe in some like special modes or something like this. I mean, you could argue the Halloween modes we had were also including some sort of weather, like the past years. Not the last one, but the previous ones. Oh, nearly missed it, Bayern. It was so close.
Missed it by that much.
It was really just a hair. One of my grandfathers was on the Missouri, the other one was on the Gearing. It's Missouri or like Iowa class is just... wow. Just very impressive to me.
My grandfather flew B-24 Liberator. Never told mission stories, but talked about his co-pilot and flight crew quite a bit. I mean, when it comes to flight crew and bomber crew, it's like most of their time is going to be spent with their friends, the guys that they flew with. So their stories are going to be, the stories that they're going to want to tell are going to be stories about the shenanigans and nonsense that they got up to whenever they were not on duty, or doing things together on duty.
They will probably not be able to talk about duty much anyway, right?
Yeah.
Even if they wanted to. It's probably mostly classified.
B-24 stuff? No, that's
No? Was
like,
declassified? Okay.
like that's just World War II bombing missions essentially. So
Yeah, would have thought you still don't want to really like talk about it.
no, there's very little from World War II that in the U.S. military that's still classified. And the things that are classified are really only classified because nobody's done a FOIA for them yet, Freedom of Information Act. And
So they basically like a court checks if that can be revealed and declassified now, or how does it work?
basically a FOIA works is you fill in a form to request access to it, and
No, but who like grants that access? The military?
I think the access would be granted by the Department of Justice, I think, but the government, more or less. And like all that stuff is so old now that knowledge is generally speaking going to be publicly accessible anyway, or at least, it's going to pass a FOIA unless it's like nuclear technology stuff.
I see.
Grandfather flew in the rear bubble turret of B-29. B-29, I don't know if you ever looked. There's a YouTube video online that shows you how a B-29's gunnery system works. It's insanely advanced.
Like that it's like stays on target and stuff like that?
So basically, instead of manning a gun like you would be in like a B-17 or whatever, where you have a gun and you physically have to aim it, you have like a camera basically that has a gun sight on it, and it's connected to a computer, which will automatically.
Wait, back then? Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a mechanical computer, but.
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what you mean.
And,
I've seen the video probably.
Yeah, you basically point the camera at it.
Maybe you sent it to me.
Basically, you line up the wings of your target with the sight, and the computer will do the rest. It'll even determine what turrets can fire at it, and we'll do all that for you.
Can people stop completely obliterating every single ship I want to shoot? Like I have 16k damage because everything I shoot it once and it just blows up.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get 32. I had some
Yeah.
torpedo hits.
One of my favorite fun facts about the D-29 is that it has a higher kill-to-death ratio than the P-51 does. So that's a thing.
As for fun stats, like some people asked about like how many people play AI. I can tell you it's a lot. A lot of people play versus AI, but we can't share these numbers.
Yep. Yeah, it's certainly a lot more than you think.
Like a lot more.
Yep.
Like not just 2%.
Yeah. Classified because they would be classed as war criminals if they were disclosed. I'm not going to touch on that topic. Beyond that, most of that information is not classified. So
What information?
potential U.S. war crimes,
Oh,
essentially.
yeah.
Like most of that information is absolutely out there. You just have to look harder than normal.
Oh yeah, not the
That's
right
a good
stream
question.
to
Why are
discuss
game
that.
devs protective of population numbers generally?
There are various reasons. Like some can be that you just don't want your competition to know stuff. Some reasons can be, not in our case, but in many cases, if a company is public, they have this whole thing where they have like the investor meetings and sharing numbers through that. We're a privately owned company, so we don't have that. So we also have the luxury to not share as much. And quite frankly, a lot of it is just very difficult to talk about if you don't have the full picture, and we don't want to spend like an entire department's time on justifying why we do certain things if we know this and that is true, or if we do something opposing to how the numbers look like, or if we want to try something, all this stuff. And another thing we see time and time again is a lot of people just can't read statistics. You show them a graph and they will jump to very quickly to very wrong conclusions. And even if some of our bosses would be fine with sharing something, there might be cases where I'm just saying like, no, we shouldn't. Or if we discuss it in the team, because it's just creating more issues than it solves. And I know there will be a lot of people in chat now who will be completely disagreeing with that statement. You're probably right. You probably can read statistics, but a lot of people don't understand it. And it's just not worth the effort of explaining it. Ah, crap it.
Yep.
But yeah, we mainly just don't want to be in a situation where we have to justify ourselves more than actually doing any actual work. It's a similar case to how we don't really do dev blogs. We tried it a couple times. We say we might get it done. Oh, am I hitting? Yes.
Nice.
Shall we jump right into the next battle?
Sure.
Cool. We tried and we said like we are planning to, we plan to, we are aiming for. And how most people understand it is, it's a promise, it's a promise, it's a promise, and it just creates unnecessary like discussions and frustration. Grüße aus Berlin. Greetings back to Berlin.
Yeah.
Uwe.
What is the design history behind the Omono? So Omono is essentially what the Japanese Navy wanted to get from their light cruiser program. So for context, Japanese Navy before World War II is not a huge fan of the light cruiser concept. They much prefer to have heavy cruisers because they know that they can't build as much battleships because of both the treaty system doesn't allow that to them, but also just Japan is not a huge nation, so they can't afford to build a lot of battleships. So they know that they're always going to be outnumbered, and they expect and hope that they can supplement their battle line with heavy cruisers, firing heavy torpedoes and heavy guns to give them more oomph in a big fight. So they weren't a big fan of light cruisers, but come World War II happening, they need light cruisers quickly. And so part of that design was, hey, can we reuse the turrets, the 155 millimeter guns from the Mogami class cruisers? Can we reuse those to make some cruisers? How feasible would that be? Omano is that representation. It's one of the designs that they came up with. But instead of doing that, they decided to use the turrets elsewhere, like for coastal defense, because building a ship of this size was not feasible for them within the amount of time that they wanted the ship in. So instead, they end up building the Agano class cruisers and what would be, and they planned to build the Gokase, which that's a name we came up with. What you are looking for is the C-40 or C-41 design cruisers.
I just noticed I kinda answered the question wrongly. The question was why are game just so protective or too protective or population numbers. Population numbers, like I partially answered it,
C-44.
but it is something I see a lot in other games, like play a ton of other games as well. For example, if let's say a game has 10,000 people online, that usually means it has something around like 50,000 to maybe even 100,000 players who play in like 1 or 2 days, and that could easily be a couple 100,000 people, or depending on the game, maybe even 1 million people who play the game every month. But players are very quick to jump on. It's like, oh, it's only 10,000 max. They are basically that. No, doesn't mean that. Depends on the game a lot, of course. Some games you spend a lot more time. Some games you only play 5 minutes of, like especially mobile games. But that's particularly why no population numbers are shared by most games.
Yep.
And then we're back to the whole discussion what I already elaborated on.
Yeah. Did N have bad AA or were there tactics bad? I assume you mean the IJN or the Japanese Navy. So Japanese Navy were good at some things and bad at others.
Be careful that you're not rushing in again.
Yeah, I'm slowing down here at this island. The anti-aircraft, the Japanese Navy were not great at it. They were far from the worst, and but they are also far from the best. They're kind of smack dab average. Their guns were just kind of okay, and in general, especially early war, they're better. But by the end of the war, they've fallen behind what is necessary to deal with the aircraft. In terms of tactics, Japanese naval tactics are pretty good, but Japanese naval strategy, not so good. Strategy being the big picture point of view, like how we are going to win the war or how we're going to win this campaign, where tactics are more of how are we going to win this specific battle, in much smaller scale. The tactics are usually pretty okay. They while they have a number, like even numbers with the U.S. Navy, they do okay, kind of 50-50, or even success in favor of the Japanese in some cases. But after the U.S. outnumbers them, at that point, it's kind of a math game, and it becomes much more difficult for them to win anything.
Come on, can I reload?
And that's the strategic loss of picking a fight with the U.S.
I guess I'm just turning. Now Vladivostok is turning. Come on. Let me hit you. It's just HE.
Yamamoto knew it was a loss before Pearl Harbor. So that comes into kind of a war aims topic. So a lot of people, at least from the Western perspective, see the war as I will defeat the enemy and win. And and that's kind of the war goal, like an unconditional surrender goal. Japan,
Yeah, I might be dead.
of course,
Yeah,
Japan would love. Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, I risked turning and I was silly enough to shoot, but there was also something unseen and I didn't really realize.
Ooh. In terms of war goals, Japan had different war goals than what we typically think. They wanted to expand what they called their greater Japanese co-prosperity sphere or something like this. Of course, that's a translation. But they wanted to expand their naval, or not naval, but their empire and their borders, and then to a point where they could increase their empire by before they end up surrendering or losing, but still end the war with more than they started it with. That was kind of their goal. They didn't really plan to win, more as they planned to come out ahead of where they were when they started. But of course, by winning a morale war against the U.S. So they wanted to do enough damage to the U.S. to where the U.S. didn't have the will to continue fighting the war. Because they knew the U.S. would have the material to win the war. It's about the fighting spirit. And so, and in some cases, they were doing better than most people think when it comes to winning the fighting spirit. But in other cases, they absolutely, in the large case, they absolutely did not predict the U.S. would be so willing to continue the fight, if that makes sense.
The eastern flank kind of gets overrun.
Yeah, exactly what Trent Frost posted in chat. They weren't going to win conventionally. They knew that.
Population is less than 50k, of course, so don't worry. Our game is doing fine. Yeah, we just got completely overrun there.
Yeah.
And that's probably like the lowest damage battle I had in a year. 875 is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, immediately quit out. We could try that again later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blip, do IJN possible to change the 152 millimeter to 155 millimeter for the light cruisers? Is how Oyota was built or something. So Oyota was built with a very similar hull to the Agano class, but with some of the 155 millimeter guns instead as a submarine leader cruiser. Yes, that's Oyota. She's not in the game. The changing the 152s to 155s, I don't think is possible, because the 152 millimeter guns are actually World War I guns. They're literally the World War I secondary guns that they pulled off of the Congo class battle cruisers and the Fuso class battleships whenever they were rebuilding them and refurbishing them. It's the same guns.
It's like that was me asking regarding the sarcasm, because sometimes it's very difficult to understand if if something is sarcastic or not in chat. And I understand that not everybody likes to hear the truth, but it's really just that for stats.
Yeah.
Like,
Stats are
people just jump to conclusions way too much. And I think we already share a lot of numbers and statistics.
Yeah. Stats are like statistics courses in universities are one of the most common failing points for most people in terms of like having to retake classes.
It's like the same thing. Actually, it also ties into the whole thing of like having 5 destroyers on each team. Statistically speaking, on average, it doesn't really happen that often. That doesn't mean you can't be unlucky and have it 10 times in a row. Is it super unlikely? Yes. But theoretically, you can also win or lose the lottery, and both can be very likely or unlikely. Like, it's the same thing with like everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, like,
so that's super misleading if you don't have context and framing. Yeah. And even if you have context and framing, you actually have to consider it. Just because you have it doesn't mean you will use it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue.
You can actually, there's a World War II history argument for this.
Sorry, I wasn't ready again.
There is a narrative out there you can find where there is an argument that the U.S. focused more on the Pacific War than the European War, even though they were saying that the Europe first or Germany first was the official policy of the U.S. military or of the U.S. during World War II, because technically speaking, there's more material going to the Pacific. So that's a valid argument from a statistics standpoint. There's more ships, there's more tonnage, there's more manpower, etc. in the Pacific. But then you start to look at things like surface area or local concentration of troops, like how many troops are there in one island or one area, and things like this. When you look in more granular detail, you find out that maybe it's just because the Pacific is a really big place, and so you need a lot of stuff to cover the Pacific.
why a ship gets buffed. A ship gets buffed when it underperforms.
Yep.
There are some ships that you might like that underperform. There might be some ships that you really dislike that actually overperform. It's just normal. Also, can we just point out how like freaking nicely of a job our team did with these camos? Like they are so nice.
I love any of these like white
Yes,
focused camos.
it just looks elegant.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole like statistical bias conversation. There was also the story with like shot down aircraft and the armored
survivor bias. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
to be clear, nobody actually built armor in those locations of that famous survivor bias graph, because it's infeasible for you to actually do that on an airplane. However, that study was done. That's a real study that happened, and it's a really, really good example of what survivor bias is. But it's not necessarily that they actually armored those locations. There's a little misconception in that meme.
Also, where's that sarcasm font? I mean, on the internet, usually people do /s to indicate sarcasm, but
Or kappa.
I would, or kappa, yeah. But in both cases, I would really just avoid it in chat. It's very misleading, especially if you talk to a lot of people who are not necessarily native speakers, or might not even necessarily be very much like chronically online to even know these things. It's just gonna cause issues.
Yeah. How do you know how to buff a ship? I'll take two parts of that question. Is how to know when to buff a ship is largely going to be determined by the statistic we call battle impact. This is essentially what difference does the ship make on the player's likelihood of winning a battle. So if a ship is basically if the ship is causing a player to be more likely to win a battle, then it's likely to be very strong. And so you need to look at other stats. That's the difference between the ship's win rate and the player's win rate in that ship, essentially. So you'll see like a ship that has plus 5% battle impact is going to be extremely strong, where a ship that has a minus 5% battle impact is probably pretty weak. But you need to look closer to be able to say that for certain. Because there are some ships
Don't slow down.
where you can have a minus 5% battle impact, but it does the most damage in the tier. So you could probably fairly say that maybe this ship is performing a role that doesn't necessarily lead to a high win rate, but it's still an important role in terms of damage dealing and getting rid of people. So essentially that's the indicator of we need to look closer. After we look closer, we can figure out that like, hey, this ship really has a bad time surviving long in battle. It has a really low survival time on average. Then you could say, maybe we should buff the HP pool or how the saturation works for the ship. That would be the how part of that question. Hope that answers it.
Schröder, can you just stop? That would be amazing. Thank you. Oh no, she's going forward again. Yeah, or like speaking of Tirpitz, our Tirpitz is not doing well.
Yeah, damage isn't scored accordingly though. Yes, it is not. But we do have other statistics like percent of damage and things like this that you can, like percent relative to the ships being involved.
We have all kinds of things.
Yeah,
like same for like certain skills being picked and how they impact the win rate of ships or the damage or both, and relative to certain parts of the player base. Like that's also something that's a common misconception in terms of reading stats. Whenever we check a ship, we are doing it relative to who is playing it. So, and that's another issue. Like there's some ships that perform really poorly for a good player in comparison to other ships because they just don't have that high of a skill ceiling and it's just a really easy ship to get into, so bad players actually perform in them slightly better than others. But there's just not that much more you can do with it, and vice versa. So there's a lot more things. And then some ships you might just want to be more difficult to play, so we are fine with them being, on average, worse off. But they're like just cool, gimmicky ships for the people who really want to invest the time. So there's a lot more factors to that in the end.
Yeah. In terms of what you're saying is meaningless, so I'm not sure what you mean by that. What we're saying is that, like, the overall damage number is kind of an easy estimate of what the ship is doing, but there, as always, those are just indicators. Then you need to go, or you by meaning like the developers who are in charge of this, will go deeper into the statistics to figure out what exactly is going on. So you can look at things like how much is the relative percent of damage are they doing towards enemy ships in terms of like in a one-on-one engagement, how are they doing, or statistics like this. But it's always going to be based off of what is actually happening, not necessarily what is the on-paper power of the ship. What's the hardest ship to play? Good.
Hardest ship. It depends on how you define difficult. Do you just define it by being the ship that is the weakest in the game overall? Because it's just difficult to pull off?
Okay.
Otherwise, I would say like anything that is
Kind of gunboat destroyers, maybe?
squishy, gunboat destroyers that don't have smoke or long smokes, I assume.
Yeah.
I mean, it also depends on the situation. Like, I kind of want a torpedo reload booster on the ship. That would be very broken, but would be very fun.
How have you guys decided to use 150 millimeter AA guns as a ship mount or ship gunner mount? Even historically, IJN and IJA had rivalries. Most of what I hear about the guns is that, so it is based off of the Japanese Army 150 millimeter gun. And they absolutely did have rivalries, up to and including assassination rivalries.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
Within the Japanese army?
Yeah, the number one enemy of the Japanese Navy is the Japanese Army. The number two enemy is the U.S. Navy. The Imperial Japanese. The history of that goes back to the Meiji Restoration. Essentially, the two of the major families involved in the more or less Japanese Civil War in the 1870s.
Hello there. Yeah, sorry, I didn't see you.
But essentially,
my own icon covered you.
Two rival factions that go back to that Civil War essentially ended up in control of the Army and the Navy respectively, and so they continued that rivalry in various different ways up to World War II and afterwards even. So that is a really, really basic explanation of what it is. I am sure I got something wrong there, but that is my understanding of it in 30 seconds. There's absolutely more to go in detail there. Yeah. How much...
Can we focus down the Amalfi?
I can't hit it. I might not be able to hit it. I'm going to try to.
Then Iowa works as well. She also kind of helps.
I can hit her.
Wish me luck. She might be gun, but probably not. Nope.
I can't hit Amalfi anymore.
I should be able to get her if I'm unlucky. We'll see.
Enemy ships have decided that I should die.
I see. Understandable. No, I didn't get her. I didn't set her on fire.
Nice help on Amalfi. You set her on fire, so I think she might die from that.
She just repaired her engine or her rudder or something like this. I forgot what I disabled, but something.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to die from that.
And I'm having a Shimanto in my broadside or on Iowa, so I'm probably also not gonna do all too well.
Are there any camos based off of the Great White Fleet? No, not in Legends. There are some white camos in the PC version of the game, which means that we technically have the assets available for conversion, but does not mean that they're necessarily like I could just bring it into the game. It's more complicated than that, but like it's something I would like to see at some point.
Oh no, there's even more. Okay, I'm dead.
What are both of our most played ships?
Probably a minnow.
Or Leander for you?
No, Fiji is actually, I think, my most played ship. Thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely a UK light cruiser.
Yeah, it's not even a question.
For me, it's
Oops, I just hit a PC.
probably
All
a
good.
Azuma for me. I really like Azuma.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Congo.
Oh yeah, definitely Congo. Especially with like all the brawls and 1v1s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely Congo.
Even without those, I'm pretty sure I've seen you play Congo like more than any other ship.
I love Congo.
Like other tiers, you play something else. Congo, like
I will not
it's just-
tolerate Congo slander.
there are other tiers and there's Congo tier.
If you guys are sleeping on Congo, build a brawler build Congo, give it a try, then come back to me. If it doesn't work for you, okay, fine. But at least give it a try.
I'm certainly sleeping on Congo. I just don't like the playstyle.
Yep. And yes, I did say brawler build on a Congo.
Hey, not everybody's perfect. The new line is really bad. You mean the cruisers we're playing right now? No, they're fine.
Yeah, we're just bad in them.
I think we did fine.
Yeah,
We had
yeah, we did.
the lower tiers were crazy, but I feel like they're actually a bit too strong.
Yeah, and keeping in mind
Um,
that like average damage for tier 7 or something like that is going to be in the region of like 55,000 or less. Like there's going to be like 50 to 55,000. So if we're doing 70k and tier 7, we're actually doing above average. No survivability.
And it's
That's
more
kinda
like
fair.
ships to farm damage, and it also depends a little bit on like how your team performs. You're not exactly like
Yeah, it's not a.
it's
carry
not
ship.
it's not a carry ship, yeah, not a carrier, but like a ship that solos everything. Though, depending on how your enemy plays, you might actually be able to just embrace your inner destroyer and do that.
Yeah. When adding new consumable camos, do you have to test every ship? We probably do an automated test for that.
Yeah, that's probably some automated stuff where it just like launches the game automatically and checks if it crashes, something like that.
Because that's the main worry with new camouflages, is that is there any like really weird texture things going on?
For like
And
perma camouflage for specific ships and skins, yes, it's actually manually checked. Just by equipping it and seeing if it like either the game crashes or something glitches, so it's fine. Like there's not much
yeah.
difference in that. But yeah.
What's the difference between Shimanto and Takahashi? So the rate of fire is different. Takahashi has a little bit better rate of fire, if I remember right. But the main difference is that Takahashi gets quadruple torpedo launchers instead of triples, which means she has a total of 4 more torpedoes for a total of 16, 8 per side.
And 16.8 kilometers a mile.
Yeah,
Case.
and yeah, probably better torpedoes as well. I don't know all the detailed
I
stats.
think
offhand.
tier 7 has 16.2 in my config. I forgot if I actually have anything that boosts range. Don't think so.
You probably have beyond range.
Maybe.
Oh no, beyond range is
That's
gunfire
guns,
range.
but maybe not even that. I'm not sure. I forgot again. Can I hit you, Baltimore? Let's see. I have to say I really like these turrets on the tier 7 and tier 8 in terms of like moving around. They're quite fast, but
Yeah.
they're also kind of useless at the same time. They barely any damage.
Yeah, they're really fast for Japanese turret standards. That's for sure.
Yes. I'm not used like even the lower tiers. I'm not used to them keeping up with your ship's turn speed actually.
Yeah, and these ships also have, at least Takahashi and Shimanto, I believe, have really high HP values for their tier. 49,000
9.5.
is a lot of HP for a cruiser.
And 2 repairs, yeah.
Yeah. Of course,
Which of
it's
the
not
new
a-
cruisers are your favorite? You mean the Japanese line? Actually, the tier 4 one was kind of fun. It felt more like a destroyer for sure. And the torpedo range at tier 4 is just ridiculous.
I gotta run away. Run away. I do not want to be in secondary range of an Atlantico.
I mean, that was spotted earlier. Oh, is she slowing down? No. She figured it out. Oh no. Oh no, she's shooting me. Are you gonna hit her actually? No, right?
I might hit her with one, maybe. I don't think so.
More than
I don't
nothing.
have high hopes. How well are the French heavies performing? They are all okay. So they're like as in like they're in the middle with most other ships. They're not bad. They're not outstanding. They're good. You know, a solid 7.5 out of 10 type rating. You know. Like 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, I thought
Type
you asked
rating.
me something.
No.
Yeah. Like, also kind of comes down to the whole thing of not every single ship can be like a playmaker.
Yep.
It's just not possible. Then we would just have like a ton of like US cruisers with radar. Something like that.
How does the perfect 10 perform?
Not that great.
Yeah.
But
the Connor-
weirdly enough, some people just make her work.
Connor being one of them. For whatever reason, he loves it.
Yeah, Final
I-
is going full crazy in it.
Yeah, I'll never understand it, but but yeah, she's not amazing at all. She's known bug with Centurion turrets. Is it good? No, there shouldn't be any bug with Centurion turrets, as far as I know. If there is one, by all means, record video and report it. It's just more likely. Can you stop?
What happened?
I got citadeled like 5 times in a row there and died from full HP to 0.
Okay.
And I wasn't even spotted.
What?
Yeah.
You were spotted previously?
Yeah,
or
I was
like-
spotted previously,
Ah,
and I went
okay.
undetected, and the shells just got me.
Fair enough.
So
Oh, can this Atlantico stop slowing down, please? I just want to shoot her.
he knows.
Yeah, it's not a bad player, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, when it comes to Centurion turrets, it's more likely that the Centurion turrets are just relatively not well armored, because Italian turrets typically are not that well armored, as well as they probably don't have very much HP. I don't know offhand what the stats are for that.
Can also come down to the whole just having bad luck situation that we addressed earlier.
Yep. Feast and famine with the big Frenchies. Sometimes you get nothing, and other times a steamroll. Yeah, that's fair. It's a really unique playstyle because you have such really, really good concealment with the ships. But at the same time, if you get caught by a destroyer and you miss your salvo, or you don't have HE loaded or whatever, it can be a really hard time. So it's a really, really risky playstyle that can be extremely effective or extremely ineffective.
How many percent of the player base on certain ships? I mean, we revealed a couple of the most played. Or
Yeah,
was it
like-
just the most played? Was it just Oman? No, I think we actually revealed the other ship types as well.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
some of them.
There's an article from December.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be-
like
it'd
around
be New
28th
Year's.
of December.
Yeah.
like that.
Like some of the more common ships in the game you can think of are going to be like Omaha, Bayern, Fubuki, Akatsuki, Iowa, and Bismarck are typically the most popular tier 7. You know.
Yeah.
So, and ships that get to them are going to be similarly popular. So, yeah.
How much damage did you deal actually?
38k,
I don't know.
not good.
I just like I don't really do anything. I was very mispositioned. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
And got over this. Yes. Yeah, I just really didn't do all that much. What does that sound? Do you hear it?
Somebody talking outside. Can we ever see the expansion of lower tier ships? Perhaps mine layers. Probably not likely. Lower tier ships tend to have basically fundamental issues with gameplay enjoyment level, because one key component of gameplay enjoyment in games like World of Warships Legends or just vehicular games is that speed is a huge factor. And so ships that are from the 1910s and earlier do not have anywhere near the same speed that
Make it over
other
this.
ships later on had,
Come on, come
because
on.
the engine
please.
technology was not there. So, of course, the Abdeel class is the exact opposite of this argument. Let's overlook the Abdeels for a minute. When you think of like ships
What's that, like super fast load tier ships? Or?
there's basically none.
Okay.
Like, like I would love to see an Abdeel, but kind of mine layers aren't a thing in World Warships. So it'd be hard to really justify them because they only have, if I remember, like 4-inch guns, something like this, 4 or 5. But they just go stupid fast. So
Okay, I can clearly see like my positioning is really bad with this ship. But it's also strange to play without a destroyer. Oh no, she shot.
yeah.
I didn't see it.
Griff fits in at tier 1 though. The Abdeels, it's hard to justify like a 40 knot Griff at tier 1.
40 knot Griff. Okay.
Yeah, like the Abdeel class.
It would just not fit. It would be just way too strong because it outruns all the ships so hard.
Yeah, they're testing mine layers in PC. I thought no, they are testing mines because
Did
of
they?
like the support carriers, right? Yeah,
I have no idea. Actually.
yeah. So, but they're not testing mine layers. It's part of the support carrier.
I mean, mines
testing.
they have already kind of tested with the like some. I think it was a Halloween event or like some PV operation. No, it was a normal PV operation they had.
Yeah,
Where you had like minefields, but I don't know. Like, it's gonna be tough. It's just even one more thing to like watch out for. You kind of need to be able to have like minesweeping capabilities. Otherwise, it's gonna be very frustrating. But then you have to rely even more on somebody actually being around for that. And you already have planes and subs. Who knows? It's certainly easier to do on PC because they have a lot more keys to put stuff on.
yeah. Secondary damage are worth less is worth less than in Legends, but on PC they removed the reduction a while back. I'm not sure if that's true.
That's true.
Oh, it is true? Okay.
They had like this huge rework of like the whole economy basically.
Okay.
So as far as I understand, unless it changed, there was at least a plan. But again, they reworked everything, so everything was balanced around the fact that this is fine now.
Yeah.
We are looking into the whole topic of like giving secondary ships more. We actually did that already by buffing a couple of the tier 8 battle sheep in terms of income. It was part of that. But yeah, we may or may not change that at some point, but we would probably need to, in that case, turn down some other knobs because we don't want to incentivize you just basically holding X or whatever, like what is it, A?
It would be like
A on Xbox, X on PS, holding that down and just going and watching your ship farm all the damage.
Yeah,
That's one of the reasons why we don't want to make secondaries even more prominent or even stronger or more profitable. And on the other hand, like, yeah, it's always a bit tricky to turn knobs for earnings.
Yeah, and so and on that note, I would not expect the changes to secondary earnings to ever be on par with main battery earnings, just because the way that the earning systems work would any kind of adjustment that would happen would be incremental, to where it would bring the average of that ship's earning to be on par with everybody else's.
It's also, I'm not sure if we can actually change the earnings that specific for like just secondaries for a specific ship, or if it's just like all secondaries for one ship.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
There are a couple of factors to that as well, and somebody actually has to do all the math and crunch some numbers to do it, and then test it.
Okay, so yeah, comment here is make it tier 0 and put all the mine layers pre-World War II ships, or World War I ships, honestly. the Virginia, Bacasa, etc., Jutland ships, where you can play old ships without a speed
This
damage
battle is
differential.
so weird.
Like I've heard the tier 0 concept millions of times from different people. The main thing though with doing that is that raise your hand if you want to play a ship that goes 15 knots.
Can I lower it even more? Like,
That's like even if you make the map smaller and things like this, you really don't like necessarily grasp the reality of how slow a lot of these ships are. And so so that's going to affect how maneuverable you are, how fast your guns turn, how fast you can react to situations on the other side of the map, things like this. So it's like from a big picture gameplay standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Like, of course, I would love to see these ships modeled and depicted from a historical standpoint, but from a gameplay standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
oh, there's another cruiser there. Okay.
Say, last artillery ships were Wisconsin and Missouri. Last artillery battleships, yes. But the last artillery ships, no. There were some cruisers and destroyers that are considered gunfighter destroyers that were in service longer.
Bye.
Well, not necessarily longer, but the were in service after they were retired.
No way. Like, everybody shot her down so much. No way.
Kill
Could have
steal?
just...
Kill steal?
No. What? I guess I
gun
lobbed
shield.
over it. Oh. And torpedoes did do the work. Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure offhand what the last gunfighter ship would be. Offhand, it's probably from either the Soviet Navy or some obscure navy.
Mine. Like, what? We had like 12 seconds left.
Yoink. Yeah, you had a much better game than I did there.
Oh, it's fine. And now our mines and Jean Bart. They did a good job. Nice one. Well, I guess we have time for like 2 more. Wait, what was it that we just don't talk about? Was it the Omono?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's try again.
Try it.
Actually, I'm going full try hard.
Are all the ships in the game realistically scaled to one of another's? Yes, in terms of the ships' sizes compared to, like, if you compare a Fletcher to an Iowa, that size is accurate. But in terms of like the map sizes and distance traveled, those are not accurate. And because the ships, I think, are 2 times the size of what they should be in comparison to the map. And then in terms of game distance is a whole weird thing. There is 3 different measurements for distance in the game, or in the physics engine, and 3 different kilometers in the physics engine. It gets really weird really fast.
Well, they're like engine distance units and they're kilometers, and there's like
Yeah.
this weird formula, like how
Yeah.
it's stretched just to be more fun. Like,
Yeah, because
yeah.
like the
like everything is correct in terms of how the calculations would actually work in real life, but everything is kind of like stretched or crunched together depending on the measurement. So
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you are comparing ship size to ship size, yes, that is accurate. If you're comparing ship size to building size, no, that's not accurate. In terms of travel speed, that's not necessarily accurate either, because torpedoes are going far, far faster than they should be.
correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we add the possibility to view ship stats for bureau ships that you haven't unlocked yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just go to like the bureau overview. Like
Yeah,
if
you-
you're in the bureau selection, you can check it.
Yeah.
Unless you mean like full stats as if it was in your port with like seeing how commander builds influence and all the stuff.
Yep. So, yeah, because like if we look at like ship sizes and things like that, like torpedoes are basically going supersonic speed. If you do the math comparing it to ship size, and that's just part of the element of making this into a game, Because first and foremost, World of Warships is a game. It's not a simulator or anything like this.
Please tell me I'm not running into anything. No, not good. Yeah, like that's always something. If people complain about like how little you hit stuff,
If you,
in real life they would have dreamed of how much you hit.
yeah,
in
like
Legends.
if you look at like the Battle of Denmark Strait or whatever, you know, it's a battle that happens at like 16 kilometers, give or take. It changes throughout the battle, but you know, the hit rate in the Battle of Denmark Strait is like 3 to 6%, depending on what ship you're looking at. Nobody wants a 3 to 6% hit rate in a video game, so we've, you know, artificially made that, you know,
This
much
New
more
Mexico's
enjoyable.
gone.
Is Aegir really larger than Odin? Yes. She's at least longer than Odin is. I'm not sure about the true size. I would have to look at the numbers again. But Aegir is absolutely longer than Odin is. Odin is a pretty small
Oh, they
battleship.
mean if you want to buy one of the Burrow projects in the store, you can't see the stats.
Oh, yeah.
That is probably true. A workaround, no, like 100% disclaimer that it's 100% accurate, but no guarantee, sorry, disclaimer, no guarantee, but there is a website called wowsbuilds.com, just one word, maintained by Mandy, who, well, basically just added almost all ships that we have in the game on this website. We can just see like all the stats and stuff like that. And otherwise, if you're not sure, you can always just ask us on like our socials, like Discord, for example, or just ask on Reddit. Usually somebody has a screenshot lying around somewhere, or we can just share the values with you. But yeah, it's a bit of a limitation in the store that we can't have like a looking into something that you unlock through a purchase. If you buy a Burrow, will it ever expire? Can you complete it anytime you want? It will stay with you. If you bought it, you will definitely have it. In terms of like, in case of like some temporary projects, we might retire them at some point, but whenever you at least started them, they will stay.
Yep.
You just have to have made some progress, and I could literally just 1 second of points.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb anyway. Whenever we add a bureau project into the game, just start it and then stop it. Because that'll mean that it's always like it's going to be like if it's an event bureau, we might get rid of it later when the event is over. So just start the bureau project, stop it, and continue what you were doing whenever like the update comes out or whatever, and that way you can keep it and finish it whenever you have time to do so.
Oh, I had hopes she's staying.
How is Turpitz performing? Just asking. Turpitz is in the like not great, not terrible camp. Yeah, that's pretty much where Turpitz is. She's not. I would not put her in the good category, but I also wouldn't put her in the bottom tier.
You can perform in her. We showed that on stream as well. Like
Yeah.
we did like 100k plus damage battles, which is pretty good. Oh yeah, that is actually like the in terms of statistics that people won't believe. Average damage numbers.
Yeah,
You will lose faith in humanity if you look at average damage numbers.
yeah.
Um,
Like average damage in a tier 8 or tier 7 battleship is going to be in the region of 60,000.
I would say probably a bit lower on average, actually.
For battleship, no, it's about 60,000.
Certainly not exactly enough for many ships that they even dealt as much damage as they have HP.
Yep.
Oh, she's going this way. This is already going 43k damage better than the last time.
I missed a bunch of bureaus because they left. Will those ships ever come back? Like Midway? Midway is still available as far as I'm aware.
Yes?
Yeah, you just have
Just-
yeah, you have to get Midway from the store.
Yeah. No, 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 no. I don't want to turn into it. No, 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 no. Okay, that was not as bad as I thought it would be. Are you able to hit the Mackensen? I started pronouncing even German ship names English, which is really weird.
I mean, we wouldn't say Mackinson either. We would say Mackinson.
Mackinson, okay.
Yeah.
Because of CK, yeah. Well, I guess it's just a English, Germish kind of like construct in my brain now.
Yo.
For example, I started calling Rune,
Oh no.
or Mainz instead of Mainz. Like it's corrupting me.
Good. Good. Let the freedom flow.
I can hear the hawk screeching.
Yeah, it's because it's a red-tailed hawk.
I just love this.
Yes, the for those who are unaware, the bald eagle sound is not a bald eagle sound. It is a red-tailed hawk sound. The bald eagle sounds like a I don't know, a distressed whale.
It's just like more like a high-pitched, like annoyed sound,
Yeah, it's just kind of a
like a honk, but
yeah,
high-pitched.
a chirp. Yeah,
Or like chirp. Baldies chirp, yeah. Wait, how are you supposed to say Ron? Ron. And in German, it's like it's just a longer O sound if it's too.
Good question here, though. What's the best piece of advice you would give to experienced players?
Okay, that's gonna be a bit cliche, I guess, but don't overdo it. Don't be too competitive. Just have fun.
Yeah,
Like, I'm saying this from a point where I'm good enough player that I'm definitely way above the average, but I know I could play a lot better or could like focus more. But for me personally, I ruined my fun with so many games because I went too competitive. And once you like tasted this like sweet superior and victory, you know you could do better. You just get unnecessarily over frustrated with any game, pretty much. So that's my advice. Just don't like be good. Try to look into it to the point where you actually have fun and where you're not like just a burden for your team. It's always annoying, of course, of somebody that isn't that good, but also just have fun and also don't stress yourself over how others play. Focus on yourself. That's the only constant factor in every single battle that you can influence. Some people will be striving for absolute perfection. Some people will just have no time or just aren't that good in games in general, don't have that much talent, or maybe they're old, or they have some disability, or you never know who's sitting on the other side of a controller or phone or PC or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's also like to add on to that note, like go play like a tier 3 game sometime, and then kind of just people watch a little bit, and then think to yourself, these are brand new players who are probably some of them are going to be having the time of their lives sailing broadside, shooting HE at each other in a battleship or whatever. But think from their point of view, this is their first time doing it. Or maybe they're just having fun doing something wrong. And that's okay. They're having fun playing a game. That's what everybody else here should be doing. So I would encourage people to go down tiers and kind of relive that a little bit every once in a while, just to kind of almost.
Are you just telling
detox.
people to see the club?
No, not necessarily. To kind of go people watch a little bit.
Call it people watch now. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but it's a fair point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have a little pro tip with for experienced players who have a ton of ships. Use the favorites feature. So all these ships I have marked here as favorites. So let's say I go and I search for I don't know, I want to play Paolo Emilio, and then I want to get back to my favorites. There's a little tip you can do to get back to your favorites instead of having to scroll through your wheel. You just unfilter everything, filter US, unfilter again. It'll put you back to Albany, and then you're right there. So that saves you so much time getting through this carousel. Whenever you have 460 ships or more, that's my little pro tip for experienced players.
Fun playing a video game. Blip, are you okay? Is it hardest feel if he has a fever? No, but like honestly, like yes, there are certain people who min-max everything, who just go full crazy. Some people just have it in their blood. They just can't do differently. They're just that good. They're talented, which is fine. But just don't, especially about others, don't stress yourself. Like somebody was just saying it, but most of the player base are potatoes. They have no sense of strategy. Yes, and that applies to pretty much anything in life. Not everybody can be good. whether it's work, whether it's a game, whether it's knowledge, whether it's like whatever. The majority of anything in everything will not be that knowledgeable, not be
Yep.
that good.
Yeah, because
And you can either accept that or get frustrated over it. And the frustration over it is just unnecessary if you're playing a game, and the game is supposed to be fun.
I mean, how many of these players are guys that just gotten off work from their manual labor job or whatever. They're getting home, cracking open a beer or whatever, and they're just playing a game. Not like they probably don't want to sit there and think about the game all day. And if that's their prerogative, so be it. Let them play the game and have fun how they want to.
Can we make fun of the UI director's haircut? I don't know.
There's been an ongoing thing of making fun of me and Connor's haircut.
Yeah, I know, which is
so-
like, guys, really just unnecessary. If you
Yeah.
want to roast someone for the looks, roast me. I don't really care, but don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Um,
just not nice. One thing to say though, like, getting a good haircut here is kind of weird. Like,
Yeah, it's super hit and miss.
check hairdressers are either really good or really, really strange. Like, you tell them something, they're like, yeah, I will do that. And then they don't. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, just don't lie to me. Like, it's not like I won't notice and will never go here again. Like, I don't know. But yeah, some people also just like different things, different styles. So
Yep.
don't be that guy. Also for Gneisenau, it's how you pronounce it, Gneisenau. Like, German language, you pronounce every single character. It's very, very rare that you don't pronounce a letter.
Oh, in German?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think the only times you have that is like, yeah, like if you have loan words from like English or French, which we do actually have a ton of, then that might happen. But yeah,
Yep.
especially like names, like all the German ships are like either states, cities, or like some admirals or like commander's name or some like royalty or emperor or whatever. So
Yep.
so it's actually Germany, not Germany. I mean, if I would pronounce Germany German, it would be Germani.
Yeah. Which
But in German, Germany is actually Deutschland, so
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
different.
I still think my favorite German sound is for like PSY, Su, like psychology.
Psychology, yeah. It's
yeah.
a Ü.
Yeah.
Well, Y can be like it can be Ü or I.
Yeah.
We have some weird things where, for example, the word away is weg.
Yeah.
Depends on like if it's like missing. And the word path is Weg. The only difference is that we pronounce it differently, and path, like nouns, are always starting with a capital
Yep.
letter, but otherwise it's actually the same three letters. So we have some weird stuff, but most of the stuff is very straightforward. You pronounce it exactly as it's written. The other thing is a teaching German stream. Like, honestly, if some of you are up for it and want to like learn how to pronounce some of the words, you can ask some of the German-speaking content creators. They are usually able to like understand your English. Just ask them politely, or maybe use Google Translate, and they will pronounce it for you. Or I can also just like hop on the call at some point and just tell you how to pronounce stuff.
Yep.
But in the end, it doesn't really matter if it's like your language. There's this whole argument over how to pronounce certain things. Do you pronounce it how you would say it in the languages you know or you speak, or do you pronounce it the way it is meant to be pronounced? But most people would butcher the letter anyway, and we're not even trying to go into like Southeast Asian territory or like Russian or like all these more difficult languages.
Yeah. Like if I'm correct,
Do we have any Finnish ships
we don't have any Finnish ship.
like that we could add?
There's the Vikinen, I think is what it's called.
Like,
Which is a coastal defense battleship.
Mm.
It would be a weird ship to get in, but it's technically possible.
pronounce all 530 ship names right now, or your fake language enjoy. I couldn't. I really like languages. I like learning about them, and like also in particular like the difference between languages. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to, especially the Pan-Asian ships. No idea.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah.
Like French, German, English, like both US and British. I know like stuff like Worcester, and it's not Worcester. But
I mean, for the life of me, I'll never get like Richelieu entirely correctly.
Richelieu.
Yeah, but like,
I had French in school for 6 years and lived there for 2.5. It's cheating. So
yeah,
that's yeah.
But I can get at least close enough to where people understand.
Worcester. Yeah, somebody.
Longer,
What's the
longest
German
one.
word for cattle transfer laws and beef labeling? Yeah, it's a bit longer, but there used to be a law actually. There was Rinderkennzeichnungs. No, it's not the one. Rinderkennzeichnungs, Fleischetikettierungs- oder Überwachungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. Was it that? I'm not sure.
Blip needs to
Check
throw
it.
more Midwest flair into his language, more y'alls and howdies. I've lost some of that, but I still use y'all a lot. I've never used howdy. Like, I don't do howdy. Howdy's kind of more south than the Midwest. I use y'alls and like would've. So like your would've, could've, should've. I use these all the time. And also the multiple the multiple contraction. So like y'all'd've, like y'all should've.
Ooh.
Yeah, y'all'd've is a
Y'all'd've.
thing. I've used that before.
Not here though.
No, but
I appreciate it because I would be very confused.
yeah, ain't all the time. But there's some real contraction things that happen with Midwest and like upper Southern English. So like your Kentucky area English. You there's some really wild contractions you'll hear.
So yeah, the long word somebody was trying to refer to is it's actually even longer, but just one single word out of that law that we used to have in Germany was beef labeling supervision duties delegation law. And you have compound nouns, so you can just chain nouns endlessly, and I mean literally endlessly, and it's valid. So in German, there was Rindfleischetikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. That is one word. And that's usually really difficult for Germans as well. But yeah, we have that thing. Chat always has fun with that whenever we speak about German language. Do you ever mispronounce French ships just to annoy Robin? Robin doesn't really mind that too much. Like
He's used to it.
I also don't. I mean, sometimes I say Robin to him, which would be correct way to call him in French. But he doesn't. He's not that hardcore French.
Yeah.
We have some French, or used to have some even more French colleagues who are like, you could barely understand them. The way to annoy some French people is usually just to use very specific terms. Like, for example, pain au chocolat. It's like a croissant kind of thing filled with chocolate. If you call it chocolatine, that annoys a lot of French.
Including Robin.
Yeah. And I'm not going to tell you how to write that.
I was literally about to type that. Whomstead. So whomstead is is basically like who would have done this?
Whomstead.
Yeah. Whom? So whomst
yeah,
done
okay.
this? Yeah. So,
Whomst would have.
yeah, exactly.
And the done this is just like.
Yeah, like whomstead? Like what?
So you don't even say whomstead have done this.
Yeah.
You just say whomstead have.
Yeah. It's like an exclamation.
Are you sure you didn't just want to try starting to like beatbox and then just gave up halfway through?
No. Can you explain potential damage? Potential damage is damage that complete pace shift. Potential damage is damage that you have avoided taking. So this can be done either by deflecting it off of your armor. Shells that miss nearby your ship within 500 meters or 700 meters. So miss nearby your ship, but so
I think it's 700. Sounds
I think it's
right.
700. Yeah. So shells that miss you but hit close nearby. Torpedoes that miss you and hit near close by. Bombs and shells that do no damage to you. Either they shatter or they bounce off your armor. That's potential damage. So it's damage that you tank by not taking it, if that makes sense. It's your evasion damage. Or your evasion tanking damage.
I was laughing because I kind of expected you to just go for the troll answer. Potential damage is damage you would have potentially taken. Like, which is actually quite a good, like
Yeah,
accurate
kind of, yeah.
description. Yeah. We got to train the artists to talk properly before 4th of July. So the question is, how do you define properly? Because we just heard like howdy is a Texas thing or Southern thing, while whomsteadeth is apparently something that they
It's a-
say.
It's more of a meme than
Where you are
anything,
from?
but it is a thing that you might hear
And
sometimes.
I have one idea.
Okay.
There's something in Texas, which is Texas German.
Oh yeah.
I should probably just like try and learn that. And then nobody could say, oh, you're not speaking a language that you speak in the US. Isn't it that the US doesn't actually have an official language?
Yes.
So,
Constitutionally, there is no official language
Yeah.
in the United States because that would be infringing on somebody's freedoms.
so yeah. So technically speaking, I could just speak German and it would be valid for the US. Nice.
Do overpins count as a potential, given it's not a pin citadel? No. Overpins count as you've taken some damage. So,
Anything that does not deal any damage in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like, even if you get some splash damage from HE, that no longer counts as potential. But there are plenty of shells that still miss, as you all know. And that is what is taken into account. I had to Google it, but the extended version that made me laugh the hardest is whomstedeth yes. What the I'm sorry, what?
It's instead of lianted yes.
Sounds like you are having a stroke.
It does, but
Ricardo, you go home, you're drunk.
don't
yes.
worry, you'll never hear this. Like you never hear it.
It's like a construct just for the sake of it. It's like the
Exactly.
Donaudampfschifffahrtskapitänsgesellschaft, like this whole
Exactly,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so what would it be?
So who would have I don't remember what it is, but it's like who like it's basically who would have likely I don't even remember. I don't remember what it is, but
Oh my god.
oh yeah, unitive and identitive. Yeah.
I just found something that like spans over 2 lines.
My favorite contraction is everybody knows the I've run out of it is what it is memes and stuff like that. My favorite thing is that technically with contractions you can just say it's what's it's.
It's what's it's. Again, like we're back to beatboxing.
Yeah, because it's IT''s is it is. And so if you say it's what's it's literally it is what it is.
Isn't your language beautiful?
Yes. It's like watching archaeologists deciphering a dead language. Exactly. It's
Except they probably have more ideas of what it could mean.
yeah. There's a really good book. I can't remember what it is or what the name of it is, but it's a book about basically archaeologists from like 500 or 600 years in the future going to like an American motel. So they archaeologically dig up like a 1980s American motel and are trying to figure out like what is a toilet or like what is like a toothbrush and things like this. And of course it's
I like how we got from doing a Japanese cruiser, like
Tangent.
cruiser stream, to talking about language. I love our streams. Also, Cardio, can you like send me the link you found on Discord? I want to check that out later.
yeah, it's a the homesteative is a whole meme.
Okay, I think we can do like 2-3 more legends related questions, and then we will stop the stream because we are close to 7 p.m. here, the local time. And I don't know about you, Blip, but I want to have some dinner.
What is toilet paper?
That is not a legends question. We're not going to answer that.
Oh yeah, good point. Motel of Mysteries. That's what it is. Yes, great book. Do recommend reading it.
Thanks, Cardio. Did we have any other questions? Now chat is talking about toilet paper and toothbrushes. Yeah.
So, anybody have any legends questions before we skedaddle?
Wasn't a question, but someone said, I play solely for the enjoyment my inner naval history nerd gets when sailing around on ships like Warspite. Yeah, then that's going to be a lot of people in our game, like a lot, which doesn't contribute to the whole like most players are bad allegations because they just have a different way of playing. But
Yeah.
then again, a lot of those players also just play versus AI or something like this.
Yeah, like some people like are really diehard fans of ships like the Bismarck, and so they will grind up to the Bismarck, and then they will only play Bismarck for their entire career of playing the game.
I've exported data. Will I get notified when I receive this completed? Yes, you will receive an email with the download link, which is going to be available for a couple of days until it's removed again.
What's the minimum amount of damage you have to cause in Legendary in order to be profitable? That depends on a lot. Because damage is valued as a percentage of the HP of the ship you're hitting. So there's not one good answer for that. And it also will depend on the ship you're in, because some ships will cost more in terms of their ammunition costs than others. So, yeah.
Ricky, we can't really comment on like Game Pass exclusives or bonuses or something unless it's announced. I'm sorry.
Yep.
And Cardio, come on. Out of all people, you should know. Like asking when questions or if questions are not gonna really be very fruitful.
Favorite IJN cruiser in the game? Azuma.
Maya. Maya or Targo? I mean, Maya is basically a Targo, but a tier lower, so...
Azuma,
Targo.
only because Congo doesn't count.
So it's the closest to a battleship.
Yeah. Well, the closest to the battleship is Mikasa, because technically that's a cruiser. But
It's in our game, it is.
yeah. But
No, but Maya or Targo.
Yeah.
Take care. Well, see you next stream, probably.
There we go. Any news for Henrique Fernandez for players who got Atlantico from Santa Crates? I don't think there's any news right now.
The biggest, like, the highest chances that we make either Atlantico with the commander available in some other way, which is currently not an option, or and then you would need to buy the whole thing again, or just be very lucky, or add some other ships that come with the commander, or like the commander comes with them, or like some other bundle where it makes sense to put the commander in. But we can't make the commander available like that, because if you don't own a ship of that nation but buy the commander, you have absolutely no way to like do anything with it, upgrade it, or choose any skills. Not that that would do anything for you if you don't have a ship for it. It's just a technical limitation. It annoys us as well, but it's not something that is very easy to just like change.
You can technically access them through the inspiration system, but that is a royal pain in the butt because you have like 5 different UI states.
You can upgrade them that way.
You should be able to, because you can.
I'm not sure.
Because you can go like.
But yeah, it's very unintuitive, and we already had.
You can't upgrade them, so. You can't upgrade them, at least not from that screen. Maybe through.
I'm pretty sure I already tried like every single way, and you couldn't.
Yeah, no, you can't. So.
Yeah, that's the issue.
So you can only apply them.
And yeah, it's already very complex and confusing in some cases. We don't want to make it even more confusing, especially for players who don't know what they are doing there. Unfortunately, that's also another thing. We don't have exact stats on it because it's difficult to tell, but another of those stats that you wouldn't believe if you hear the numbers is how few people read. And I mean, like, read literally anything. You can smash 5 billion pop-ups into their face, and they will still manage to ignore all of them and then complain that they didn't see something that was actually explained to them. We have had people wipe their whole console progress after being asked 3 times which account they want to link on mobile, or there are probably people who spend way too high amounts of money on things without reading. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, people by popular
can relate. I hate reading. I mean, I also don't like reading walls of text, but we're already trying to make short descriptions.
Yeah, by popular request, people are requesting the Congo build. Of course, I'm running our Tesla Cold because damage.
Damage.
So if you have our Tesla Cold, this works. If you do not, you can run. Grab Battleship Commanders. You can. I think it's. Yeah, you can run. Ashikaga Tower. Get the name right. Nobutaki Kondo, which you get concealment, which more people should be running concealment on their battleship inspirations.
What would you recommend as inspirations?
As inspirations, you want to have a little bit. You want to basically focus on shell grouping, probably. You can go all in on damage and do like something else, but you're sacrificing a lot of your accuracy, so you probably want to get that back as much as you can. So I'm running Brawler, the Avatars of Slaughter on Artas. You can swap that for Crisscross if you want to. Firefighter, Master Mechanic, and running with Scissors. Because basically the whole point of this build is essentially you have guns that will overmatch everybody in your tier and below you. So you just ignore armor most of the time. And so you want to maximize the amount of damage you can do before they can do it to you. And that's the whole point. The whole point is just rushing through the damage.
Randy was just saying I didn't pay $0 to play this game to read some essay.
Yep.
Again, like it's a matter of how you have fun, whether you pay anything or not. That's probably also cool stat we can't share, but like how few people actually pay. A lot of people just enjoy the game.
Yep.
And it works. But yeah, otherwise, HK, can we have some min requirements for ranked, like 200 standard battles? Honestly, it's not going to do anything. Whether you put it on minimum 200 or minimum 20,000, you will be having players who are really bad and really good.
Yeah.
So, no, very unlikely. We don't want to like gatekeep the stuff. So, yeah. And also make a tab for it. I assume that's regarding the commander. We just can't. That's the issue. If we don't have a nation for it, we can't make a tab for it because, yeah, I mean, we could make the tab for it, but no matter how many disclaimers we put there, we will just get a lot of tickets and a lot of frustrated players and also a lot of frustrated players who don't even bother asking for a refund or anything and then just leave because there's no way to actually work with it in the game right now if you don't have a ship.
Yep.
And last but not least, or do you have another question?
Just the no secondary buffs comment on the build, the commander build.
Oh.
So yeah, no secondary buffs because secondaries on a Congo aren't going to be doing much, and I use Congo instead of our Parna or our Kirishima because damage. The shells do 500 more damage on Congo, which damage.
So
big number.
Lastly, your boy is asking when can we expect another wargaming event on the Belfast. Most of the events that are being planned and done are done by the PC team. Our community is just very, very spread all over the world. So having dedicated Legends events, unfortunately, isn't really working. So we usually piggyback off of them and do stuff together. But as far as I understand, Belfast is rather unlikely. There were so many events there already, and the team also kind of wants to go somewhere else, check out some other locations, and not everybody can just easily travel to Belfast, even though it's in London. But like if you're from like north or whatever, wherever in England, for example, you might have a hard time traveling. I think Final can report more on that. So it's more likely that we will do other locations, and with we, I mean mainly the PC team. But the easiest is to just ask them in one of their streams. They have each Thursday evening from that is 4 to 6 UTC during summer. They have a community stream that's usually done by the EU team, so you can ask them. Would be neat if Wargaming worked with the Texas Foundation for something when it opens next year. I can't comment on it, but I would assume that there's probably some talks. Yeah. Because, well, we have already helped Texas in the past and a couple other ships as well. So we usually try to interact with a lot of these museums. And in the US, it's relatively easy. They're pretty open to work with us. We have worked with them plenty of times. So if there's something we can do together, it's probably going to be done. But that would be also rather on the global teams that we have shared between the two games or by the NA PC team. Yep. And can we have a fleet chat? Very unlikely. And for that, or with that, I would say see you next week. I hope you had a fun stream. We certainly had fun.
Yep.
If you need some help with German pronunciations, just DM me on Discord. I'm happy to help. Oh no, I might regret saying that. And yeah, I'm not sure yet what we're going to do next week for the stream, what topic, but we will probably come up with something cool. And yeah, see you next week.
See you, everyone. Have a great week. Be safe.